All right, thanks, guys. Just want to say congratulations once again to my Patreon subscribers who went 4-2 yesterday on our Patreon website. And that's going to put us at a perfect 4-0 in our last 4 daily best plays on that site. Link for that website is in the description section below. If you want to join, that is patreon.com/rockpage. All right, let's go ahead and dive into our college basketball slate, beginning with Duke taking on Clemson, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Blue Devils are minus 10.5, total at 134. We saw a half a point move toward Duke and movement downward on the total in this matchup here. The Blue Devils open as the 10-point favorite, up to 10.5, total open 135, down to 134. 66% of the consensus are leaning toward Duke, 61% shaded toward the over. Right now, Clemson is plus 460 on the money line. Now, if you like Clemson in this matchup here, they're just 3-5 against the spread in their last 8. They failed to cover the point spread against the likes of Yale and Minnesota. They're also averaging just 68 points per contest, somewhat struggling with regard to scoring points. Now, Duke, on the other side, right in the middle of a 9-game winning streak. Victories over the likes of Wake Forest, Georgia Tech, Miami Hurricanes, Virginia Tech, and Michigan State during that stretch. They rank in the top 5 in the country in scoring on average per game. They're also in the top 10 in offensive field goal percentage. Now, Vernon Carey, he's averaging 17 points a game, 9 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Trey Jones, 15 points a game, 7 rebounds. Trey Jones, 15 rebounds, 7 assists. And Cassius Stanley, 12 points a game, 4 rebounds for Duke. Now, this Blue Devils team is averaging 84 points per contest. They're also shooting a staggering 49% from the field. They also rank in the top 25 in the nation in offensive rebounding. And it's not just all offense, because they're allowing just 62 points per contest so far in the season. Now, total-wise, Duke is 60% to the over in their last 10. Clemson 3-0 to the over in their last 3. I'm going to lean Duke minus 10.5 in the over 134 in that game. Next matchup, LSU taking on Texas A&M, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off in that game. The Tigers are the 6.5-point favorite, total at 128. We saw a half a point move toward LSU and movement upward on the total. The Tigers open as the 6-point favorite, up to minus 6.5. Total open 127, up to 128. 57% are leaning LSU. 58% shaded toward the over. And right now the Aggies are plus 250 on the money line. Now, Texas A&M is averaging just 58 points per contest. They're also shooting just 39% from the field, one of the lower scoring teams in college basketball. Meanwhile, LSU on the other side, winners of 8 out of their last 10. Victories coming against the likes of Mississippi State, Tennessee, and Arkansas. LSU ranks in the top 30 in scoring on average per game in the nation. They're also in the top 15 in offensive field goal percentage. Skylar Mays is averaging 16 points a game, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals. Emmett Williams, 13 points a game, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks. And Trendon Watford, 13 points a game, 6 rebounds for the Tigers. LSU averages 79 points per contest, and they are shooting 48% from the field. They also rank in the top 10 in road scoring, top 10 in road offensive field goal percentage. Now, LSU is 6-3 to the under in their last 9. Texas A&M 7-1. Let's try it again. Texas A&M, out of their last 7 games at home, let's try that again. Texas A&M, out of their last 8 games at home, 7 of them stayed under the total. There you go, Brock. Good job, buddy. All right, I'm going to lean LSU minus 6.5 and the under 128 in that game. Next matchup, Ole Miss taking on Florida. 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Gators are minus 11, total at 136.5. We saw a half a point fade of Florida and movement upward on the total. The Gators open 11.5 down to minus 11. Total open 135.5 up to 136 and a hook. 59% are leaning Florida, 57% shaded toward the over. Right now, Ole Miss is plus 545 on the money line. Now, Ole Miss is giving up just 65 points per contest. They also rank in the top 15 in defending the three ball on the road. Brian Tyree, 18 points a game, 4 rebounds. Blake Hinson, 11 points a game, 5 rebounds. Devontae Schuler, 11 points per contest, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals. And of course, all 3 of those gentlemen represent the Ole Miss Rebels. Now, Florida on the other side, just 2-3 against the spread in their last 5. They also failed to cover the point spread in 5 out of their last 8. Total-wise, 4 out of the Gators' last 4 games did get over the total. They're also 90% to the over in their last 10. I'm going to lean Ole Miss plus 11 in the over 136.5 in that game. Before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick timeout and welcome you to the show. Got some lines and personal leans out for Tuesday's college basketball action, but before we dive into some more of that, I just want to quickly remind you to check me out once again on my website at patreon.com/BrockPage, and I'll tell you this much, each and every day you're not subscribed to that website, you're certainly costing yourself valuable information, and you're costing yourself money as well. We do daily premium sports picks on that website, beginning at just $1.99 per month. It's basically free. It doesn't really, $1.99. It's as if you never even, saw it. But anyway, we do daily premium picks on that website, and we have a bunch of different memberships, tiers, and packages that you can subscribe to. My current Patreon record is very good right now. We went 4-2 yesterday on that site in our premium picks. It's going to improve our record to 4-0 in our last 4 daily best plays on that site as well. Link for that site is in the description section below. You can check out my current record right on the homepage. And once again, that is patreon.com/BrockPage. All right, let's go ahead and dive into our next game, which is actually not on our big screen, but it is a game of importance. And I'm talking about Louisville taking on Pitt Panthers, 7 o'clock Pittsburgh. Louisville's -6, total 128. We saw a half a point move toward Louisville and movement upward on the total. The Cardinals open 5.5 up to -6. Total open 127 up to 128. 67% are leaning Louisville, 54% shaded toward the over. And right now, Pitt is plus 240 on the money line. Now, if you like the Pitt Panthers in this matchup here, just keep in mind they failed to cover the point spread in 5 out of their last 7. They have outright losses to the likes, I'll put it to you this way. They lost to this very Louisville team 64-46. They got absolutely decimated. That was in their original matchup back on December 6th. This Pitt Panther squad, they're averaging just 66 points per contest. They're also shooting just 41% from the field. Louisville, on the other side, winners of 7 out of their last 10. Victories against the likes of Notre Dame, Miami, Florida, and Michigan. They're shooting 47% from the field this year. They also rank in the top 30 in three-point percentage as well. One more thing to add about Louisville. They're in the top 35 in the nation in offensive rebounding as well. Jordan Nwora, 21 points a game, 8 rebounds. Stephen Enoch, 11.7 rebounds for the Cardinals. Louisville ranks in the top 30 in points allowed as well, getting the job done on both ends of the court. They also rank in the top 10 in defensive field goal percentage. They're giving up just 61 points per contest. Meanwhile, their opponents are shooting just 36% from the field. Now, Louisville's 70% to the under in their last 10. Pitt 5-2 to the under in their last 7 themselves. I'm going to lean Louisville -6 and the under 128 in that game. Next matchup, Iowa taking on Northwestern, 8 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Iowa's -5.5, total 142 and a hook. We saw a half a point move toward the Hawkeyes and movement downward on the total. The Hawkeyes open as the 5-point favorite, up to -5.5. Total open 143, down to 142 and a hook. 67% are leaning Iowa, 62% shaded toward the under. Right now, Northwestern is plus 205 on the money line. And speaking of the money line, Northwestern's lost 5 out of their last 6 games. They're averaging just 66 points per contest. They've also dropped 4 out of their last 8 at home. Now, Iowa, on the other side, they rank the top 30 in scoring on average per game, top 20 in road scoring as well. Luka Garza, he's averaging 22 points a game, 11 rebounds, and 2 blocks. Joe Wieskamp, 15 points a game, 6 rebounds. And keep in mind, guys, C.J. Frederick is listed as doubtful, but regardless, this Iowa team is averaging 78 points per contest when traveling this year. Now, 6 out of Iowa's last 7 games did, in fact, stay under the total. Meanwhile, Northwestern, 5-3 to the under in their last 8. I'm going to lean Iowa minus 5.5 and the under 142.5 in that game. Next matchup, DePaul versus Villanova, 8:30. Villanova's minus 10, total at 142. We saw a half a point fade of Nova in movement upward on the total. The Wildcats open 10.5 down to minus 10. Total open 140 up to 142. 59% are leaning Villanova. 65% shaded toward the over. Right now, DePaul is plus 430 on the money line. DePaul is averaging 75 points per contest. They're also shooting 46% from the field. They rank the top 40 in the nation in defensive field goal percentage as well. They're certainly getting the job done on both ends of the court. They're also ranking in the top 35 in the country in road scoring. Charlie Moore is averaging 16 points a game, 7 assists. Paul Reed, 15 points a game, 11 rebounds for DePaul. And Jalen Butts, 6 rebounds per game, 11 points on average for him. DePaul ranks in the top 15 in road offensive field goal percentage. They're also in the top 30 in shooting the 3-ball on the road. Villanova, on the other side, they've covered just 40% of their games in their last 10. They failed to cover against the likes of Delaware, St. Joe's, Penn, and LaSalle. Coach Wright certainly taking it easy on his close neighbors. Now, Villanova, they're allowing their opponents to shoot 44% from the field this year. And total-wise, Nova is 7-1 to the under in their last 8. I'm going to lean DePaul plus 10 and the under 142 in that matchup. Next game, Maryland taking on Wisconsin, 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Badgers are the 2.5-point favorite at home, total at 125. We saw a 1-point move toward Wisconsin in movement upward on the total. The Badgers open 1.5 up to 2.5. Total open 124 up to 125. 56% are leaning Wisconsin. 63% shaded toward the over. And right now, Maryland's plus $1.20 on the money line. Now, if you like Maryland in this matchup here, they're 3-1 straight up in their last 4, 7-3 straight up in their last 10. Victories over Ohio State, Indiana, and Marquette during that stretch. They also rank in the top 15 in the nation in offensive rebounding, top 40 in points allowed. Anthony Cowan, he's averaging 16 points a game, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists. Jalen Smith, 13 points a game, 9 rebounds for him. And Aaron Wiggins, 10 points a game, 6 rebounds for the Terrapins. Maryland ranks in the top 15 in defensive field goal percentage. They're also allowing just 61 points per contest. Now, Wisconsin on the other side, they're averaging just 67 points per game. They also failed to cover the point spread in 4 out of their last 8 at home. 4 out of Wisconsin's last 5 did stay under the total. Meanwhile, Maryland 7-2 to the under in their last 9. I'm going to lean Maryland plus 2.5 and the under 125 in that contest. Next game, Kansas taking on Oklahoma. 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off in that game. The Jayhawks are minus 6.5 total at 138. We saw a half a point move toward Kansas and movement downward on the total. Kansas opened 6 up to minus 6.5. Total open 139 down to 138. 62% are leaning Kansas. 55% shaded toward the over. Right now, the Sooners are plus 240 on the money line. Oklahoma is a perfect 6-0 straight up at home. They're also 4-1 straight up in their last 5. Victories against Texas, Kansas State, and UCF. They're averaging 74 points per contest. Meanwhile, defensively, they're holding their opponents to just 40% from the field. Christian Doolittle, 17 points a game, 9 rebounds for the Sooners. Austin Reeves, 16 points a game, 6 rebounds for him. And Brady Manick, 15 points a game, 6 rebounds for Oklahoma. Now Kansas, on the other side, they failed to cover the point spread in 3 out of their last 5. They're also just 4-6 against the spread in their last 10 head-to-head matchups with the Sooners if you're into historical trends. Garrett and Dodson are listed as questionable for the Jayhawks. Meanwhile, Kansas is 5-0 to the under in their last 5, 6-1 to the under away from home. Give me Oklahoma plus 6.5 and the under 138 in that game. Next contest, not on the board. It is going to be Virginia Tech taking on Wake Forest, 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off. The Hokies are -3, total at 138. We saw a 1.5 point move toward Virginia Tech and movement downward on the total. The Hokies open 1.5 up to -3. Total open 139 down to 138. 68% are leaning Virginia Tech. 63% leaning toward the under. The Demon Deacons are plus $1.45 on the money line. The Demon Deacons have also lost 5 out of their last 8 games. They went just 2-5 against the spread in their last 7. They're shooting just 42% from the field, and they're giving up 73 points per contest. The Hokies, on the other side, they rank in the top 35 in the nation in points allowed. Meanwhile, defensively, their opponents are shooting just 39% from the field. Now, Virginia Tech is 6-1 straight up in their last 7 victories against NC State and Syracuse during that stretch. And total-wise, Virginia Tech is 11-5 to the under in their last 16. I'm going to lean Hokies -3 and the under 138 in that contest. Next game, TCU taking on West Virginia, 9 o'clock Eastern tip-off in Morgantown. West Virginia's -8, total at 126.5. 1 point fade of West Virginia, movement upward on the total. Mountaineers open 9, down to -8. Total open 125.5 up to 126 and a hook. 59% are leaning West Virginia, 52% shaded toward the over. Right now, TCU's plus 280 on the money line. The Horned Frogs are 8-2 straight up in their last 10 victories against Oklahoma State and Kansas State during that stretch. They're shooting 37% from downtown, and they rank in the top 25 in points allowed. They're giving up just 60 points per contest on average. West Virginia on the other side, they're shooting just 42% from the field, 29% from downtown. When it comes to this total, 8 out of the Mountaineers' last 8 games all stayed under the number. I'm going to lean TCU plus 8 and the under 126.5 in that game. All right, next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be San Diego State, Fresno State, and that is going to be a late one. San Diego State's -7.5, totals at 127. I like San Diego State -7.5 and the over 127 in that game. All right, let's go ahead and dive into some shout-outs. Once again, brought to you by patreon.com/Brock Page, where we do daily premium selections on that website, beginning at just $1.99 per month. Shout out to Dr. Weidenswig from Germany. Shout out to Dr. Weidenswig's friend Chrissy Feldman. Shout out to Maribel Ramirez, Marley Kenny. Definitely a solid dude. Good to definitely become friends with Marley. Great guy. Shout out to Frozen Gamer, Dominique Hughes, Rolex Demand. Shout out to Big Vegas 05 from New Jersey. Shout out to Kenneth Barneycastle from Summerlin. Now, Kenneth Barneycastle, he's the real deal. He is just minutes from the strip. Shout out to Max Letter S, Mike Armstrong, Ryan Frazier, Stephen Lewis, and last but certainly not least, got to give a shout out to Vernon Williard from Pennsylvania. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Once again, don't forget to check me out on Patreon. Once again, we went 4-2 yesterday in our premium picks on that site. Good for 67% for the day, and it's going to improve our record to 4-0 in our last 4 daily best plays on that website. You can check out my current record for free. You definitely want to get linked up with Patreon. The more you wait, the more you put it off, the more information you're missing out on, the more money you're losing out on. We're certainly on a nice little stretch of victories on that site. Once again, it's certainly better than what we do here on YouTube, handicapping every game on the board, side and total, throwing darts, picking games with our eyes closed. We really narrow it down and focus in on 3 to 4 premium selections per day on Patreon. Once again, link for that site is in the description section below. If you're a loyal Brock Page viewer here on YouTube, you certainly owe it to yourself to be a member of Patreon as well. Once again, link for that site is in the description section below. But most importantly, guys, I do have to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. I really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. Happy Tuesday to you. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you on patreon.com/BrockPage.